Welcome to the Great People Show, your guide to greatness, your GPS to excellence. Here's your host, J.J. White.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Great People Show. I am your host, J.J. White, and in the Great People Studio, partner in crime, just known as Muncie. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm a little too excited this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've just got some jovial energy going on.
I saw you
here.
chugging some cough syrup just before we started.
You know, that might have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
It has quite a lengthy list of ingredients on the front there. It's Mucinex Max. I don't know.
So have you been to get over this cold?
I'm being crushed by bronchitis, and I think the only thing worse than bronchitis is bronchitis in the summer. You know, that straight up humidity that just sits in your lungs. It's like these diseases these days and these germs just don't respect the human. You know what I mean? It's like a total lack of respect.
It's ridiculous
for who we are. And I'm on a fantastic Z-Pack.
Oh, so you're hopped up on all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and someone was telling me I'm actually supposed to now chug probiotics because the antibiotics kill all the good stuff.
So you need to eat some yogurt.
I'm going to create this little war in my body. I'm just going to jack up on antibiotics and probiotics and see who wins.
Sounds healthy.
How are you doing? I mean, are you healthy this morning?
I'm good.
Are you going to carry the show for us?
I've been healthy, not coughing. Had a great Memorial Day weekend. You have a good long weekend?
Yeah, I'm working on the basement, so there's not a lot of relaxing and enjoying the peaceful time around my world right now.
Yeah.
Of course, the kids want to do stuff. Kids are getting out of school in about a week. My kids are.
Oh, no kidding.
So we're just, essentially the prepping for the bomb shelter in World War III, when they actually have to spend time with each other, because even though my children love each other, I'm not sure how much they respect each other. They're 6 and 9, and I don't know if 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds have this inherent understanding of what respect is, because I know Sam and I are very consistently bringing to their attention that they don't respect us.
You don't think your kids respect you?
There are plenty of moments in which they exhibit behavior that shows that they do not respect us. Now, there may be some respect inside of those moments. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure. I cannot clearly identify it. Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
What about yours?
My kids, I think my kids are fairly respectful of us most of the time.
Yeah, it's fair. I think that's fair.
We all have our moments.
Yeah. Well, today we're talking about respect. If you haven't figured that out yet, we're talking about RESPECT.
Yep. Find out what it means to me.
We're going to find out what it means to you.
Yeah.
Maybe a little shocking to you what my point of view on respect is going to be on today's show. In every single show, we deliver to you, the listener, the insights and inspiration for a life of significance in serving others, because true greatness is serving others. And in order to serve others, we have to respect them. We may not like people. We may not love them. We may not understand them, but we must respect them. So wherever you're listening to us right now, we simulcast the show on Facebook Live and on live radio here in Richmond. And, of course, you may be listening to it on the podcast or YouTube. Thank you for being here and allowing us to be part of your journey. And to get our show anytime, anywhere, just go to our website at greatpeopleshow.com. You know, the one thing, James, that I noticed when I was really looking deep into this topic, because you wanted to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
This was your idea. And a question I'm frequently asked is, how do you all decide your show topics? Well, that's top secret. I mean, we go into the same vault where the Colonel's recipe is.
That's right.
Because it is, other than Fort Knox, the most protected thing on earth.
The Colonel's recipe, the original Coca-Cola recipe is in there.
That's there too.
Yeah.
What else is in there? Oh, the whole Area 51. Yep. Everything about Area 51's inside there.
Yep, the bloomin' onion dip recipe is in there.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's in there.
Have you been trying to get to it?
Yeah,
That's why I've never noticed it. I'm not big on that. Anyway, so in this vault, James and I determine what we feel the topic should be. At the end of the day, it always comes back to what our listeners need to hear about.
That's right.
So why did you pick this topic? Why was it on your heart?
You know, I've been thinking respect is something that I think has been lacking in our society as of late.
Yeah.
And you and I talk about it a lot, and it just occurred to me, we'd never really done a show talking about respect, not just what it is. I mean, I think we all have a pretty good idea of what respect is, but what do we need to do to earn the respect of our friends, of our peers, etc.? What do we do when we're disrespected? Are we ever disrespecting other people and maybe not realizing it, and is it having an impact on our relationships?
Sure.
So I think it's a pretty wide-ranging topic and just one that we haven't tackled yet.
Yeah, I agree. And digging into this hardcore, it really changed my own personal mindset when I feel disrespected. Mm-hmm. And the psychological term I think I found on what we mean by when you feel disrespected is called being slighted, like someone has slighted you. And it's interesting because I started to see it differently when I started to think of the word that, oh, that person is slighting me.
Right.
Because I think I think disrespect happens so much now, and we get disrespected so easily. I think we become a little numb to it. Like it's almost like you mentioned, it's so much of a part of our society now. Mm-hmm. It's almost like we expect people somewhat to be disrespectful until they prove us wrong. And I can't tell you, especially dealing with clients, how many times I hear, oh, the youth today are so disrespectful. Mm-hmm. Like it's a word put on a generation. And it goes the other way too, right? Oh, those old people, they just disrespect the young people, right? It's all over the place.
It is. And look at social media, how people go out of their way on social media specifically to disrespect other people. I mean, we've heard a lot about, these internet trolls and everything, and a lot of their mission is to completely disrespect what they see on the internet, which gets a rise out of people. Because what do we do when we're disrespected, JJ? We have a tendency to fight back. We have a tendency to get upset. We have a tendency to get emotional. And there are a lot of people out there who like to get that reaction.
That's an interesting comment. I never really thought about the epidemic I think we have. I just wrote this down. It's disrespect behind the curtain. You can go on the internet and comment your life away in just a negative, mean way. And there's no consequence to that. And you're disrespecting people you didn't even know.
Absolutely. And there have been people, and it moves into bullying and a lot of really other bad things.
One.
I mean, but there have been people who have committed suicide because of the people on the internet that have torn them down.
So I'm going to drop a little bomb before we go on our first break. On this whole thing of being slighted, what this translates to is narcissistic injuries. Follow me here, okay?
All right.
Is whenever we are disrespected, we have let someone else bruise our ego. So this disrespect is actually more about us than it is them. And I have come to terms more with disrespect by it's not as much caring what other people think. It's I am so confident and self-assured. I'm not going to be disrespected because it's like this impenetrable barrier. And a friend of mine, Randy Sklar, just on LinkedIn last night, reinforced that and said, I guess I don't feel disrespected much anymore at this point in my life because I'm just so confident. So I think if you find yourself being disrespected a lot, or let's put it this way, if you find yourself feeling disrespected a lot, it may not be as much what other people are saying to you, is that you're not as confident as you need to be about yourself. And the one thing I'm going to lay down here is whenever we use the word taking offense to something, guess what? You took offense. Congratulations. So I think disrespect lies more in your head than it does other people. So that's something to think about as we come back is, am I right or wrong?
Oh, I got a lot to say.
Am I right or wrong?
This is good stuff.
So don't go away. You're listening to The Great People Show.
The Great People Show will be right back. Call into the show at 804-454-1366. Before the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People was the Dale Carnegie course. Now, after 104 years, over 8 million people experience Dale Carnegie courses. People like Warren Buffett and Ronald Reagan. The Dale Carnegie experience uses proven techniques to permanently unlock the potential of top talent, making individuals into inspiring leaders and groups into high-performing teams, while reducing the financial and emotional costs of employee turnover. For more information, visit DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. That's DaleCarnegieRichmond.com.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad!
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just got invited to the prom. Do you A, meet her date?
I need to see your past date report cards, your driver's license, a list of references, and this hair sample.
B, help her pick out a dress?
Don't you just love the long sleeves and turtleneck on this pantsuit?
Ugh.
C, attend the prom undercover.
Mom, what are you doing here?
I'm not Mom. I'm Calvin, the new kid at school.
Or D, capture her big moment.
Let's take a photo of you two. I'm in the middle.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Great People Show live. Call into the studio at 804-454-1366. That's 804-454-1366.
Come on, James, tell me I'm wrong.
Listen, respect, where I talk about how respect has gone out the window, is that when we see an opinion that we disagree with, there is such a large amount of our society who gets offended, who feels disrespected, and who can't have a respectful conversation about the controversy. You know, we need to respect the differing opinions of other people. And how often do we see people who just respond to differing opinions with insults, with lashing out? Mm-hmm. And I think it says a lot about the person if you hurl insults at somebody, if you disrespect somebody who has a different opinion than that you do.
Okay. So am I wrong? I mean, I truly believe that it's possible to ultimately never feel disrespected if we're in the ultimate state of self-belief. Like if we are so comfortable with who we are, we just can't be disrespected. It's like the Iron Curtain around us. It just can't happen.
I think that you can choose not to let things get to you, but that doesn't mean that people aren't being disrespectful to you.
Correct. I would agree with that. That some people, all people really, all of us are disrespectful at any given moment in our life. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and we'll talk about this later in the show, sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's unintentional. I just think that the feeling of being disrespected is 100% within our control. And regardless of what someone says to you, you can get to an ultimate state of not having any feelings of disrespect if you feel that good about yourself.
Mm. So I have a brother who hopefully is not listening to the show, but who absolutely refuses to answer texts from my parents and from me and from my wife and most anybody. Now, he's not a bad guy. He's not, there's no grudge or anything, but you know, we had a birthday party for my son the other week, for example, and we had invited him, and my wife had sent, and my mother as well, had sent multiple texts to him asking if they would like to come because they live in the area, and no response and no response and no response. And he responded after the family party basically saying, sorry, we couldn't make it. Now, my mom and my wife both feel pretty disrespected by the fact that we're not important enough for him to respond to texts. And I would certainly say that he is being disrespectful, especially of his mother, by not responding to messages.
Can I call a timeout real quick?
Please.
I believe he is being disrespectful to your mom. It's up to your mom to decide emotionally if she's being disrespected, if she feels disrespected.
Oh, she feels it.
So that's her choice.
Yeah.
That's her choice. We have a choice of feeling disrespected.
So how is she supposed to feel?
If you were in an ultimate state of emotional control, because what's going to happen is, so what are all the ramifications of her feeling this? It could keep her up at night. It could change the way that she thinks about her son. It's going to change her mood. It's going to change the way that she communicates with other people. It's going to change the way that she treats other people, because this is now sitting inside of her and maybe even rotting her a little bit. Who wants that? Who needs that? I've had my fair share of feeling disrespected by other family members and other friends and blah, blah, blah. And I've also, I think, grown. I'm not there yet. I've grown to the point where I've expected a certain amount of behavior from certain people, and I literally say to myself, I'm not letting that affect me. That's their choice. If they want to do that, if they want to behave that way, that's on them. I'm not owning it. I'm not letting them in my head. Some people do it intentionally to hurt other people. Some people, it's just, they don't care. It's just their behavior.
Yeah.
And they're okay with it.
And I mean, I guess I agree and disagree. I think that we definitely have the choice as to how much it gets to us. I assure you, my brother not responding text is not something that's keeping me up nights, and it's not something that consumes any part of my mind other than that moment. But it's disrespectful. It is.
But what can you do to change it?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. See, that's so
absolutely nothing.
I'm big on control. What can we control? Can we control that other person? Like, if somebody starts disrespecting you, how can you control that? Like, you can get away from that person, right? You can have a frank talk, face-to-face conversation with them about it. And we can tell them how we feel. We can tell them what they're doing is disrespectful. As a matter of fact, and this conversation has happened with my brother, I think that we are doing a disservice if that person is a family member, is a work colleague, or any sort of a friend. I think we're doing them a disservice by not letting them know how they're being perceived. Okay.
How their behavior is being perceived.
That's very much, I think, based on personality, because some people will never share that. Some people hit it head on. You're being disrespectful to me. So we could have a whole show on how do you approach people where it becomes meaningful feedback, right? Because people can get feedback all the time and they're not listening to it because that person that was giving them feedback gave it to them because they gave it to them in an emotional state of disrespect, right? They are emotionally disrespected. They are emotionally hurt. So they're gonna give it back to that person in a way that other person, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're not going to take it because they don't want to deal with it. Now, there's going to be maybe 10% where they say, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I was just being disrespectful to you. So I think that's a huge turning point when somebody is unintentionally disrespecting somebody and they're bringing it to their attention. I think most of the time, though, it's lashing out and, in fact, right here, Howard, or, well, I can't find it. But here it is. Why we are disrespected is retaliation for feeling disrespected. So we end up becoming the disrespecter because we were disrespected. So think about this. Okay, somebody disrespects you, and you get disrespected, so you lash back out to that person and hoping to give them feedback on how they were disrespectful to you. Well, now they feel disrespected. So because it was retaliatory.
Oh, come on. So don't give them the feedback in that way. Get control get control of your emotions. Hey, you know what, JJ? The fact that you didn't respond to any of the text messages that I sent you the other day, it really came across as pretty disrespectful. I mean, what's going on?
Quit being so sensitive. It's funny because that's one of the main things I want our listeners to get out of the show right now is we need to be less sensitive to that disrespect because, okay, you're joking, because I don't remember not responding to text, so I think we're joking.
Oh, I am joking. Okay, that would be like my conversation. That'd be like the conversation I have with my brother, though.
Because when I respond to even if I don't want to respond to your text, I will respond with so much sarcasm that it will keep you from wanting to text me again. So that's how I handle it. But anyway, we are so sensitive to, like, so in this situation of texting, I think this is a big problem that some people have. In this situation of texting, if you've sent someone a text and they haven't responded, and then you feel so disrespected that you come back and have to talk to them saying, hey, I've sent you these texts and you never responded, it really made me feel disrespected. That's all about you. That's all about how you feel. We are assuming that that person you assume that person needed to think like you think, that needed to behave like you behave, needed to do what you wanted done. That's selfishness, man. I'm sorry, but whenever you feel disrespected because someone didn't do something for you or help you or whatever, it's like we are throwing ourselves onto someone else. We are saying, I expect you to think like I think and act like I act and behave like I behave, because we know for many people, friends, family, coworkers, random strangers, if you feel that way, that's selfishness, man. That's just straight self-centeredness. I mean, I think if we're not honestly looking at someone else and saying, well, maybe they're busy. Maybe they've got things going on. Here's a great example. And I hope this never makes it to this person. Even vaguely, I'm going to talk about it. I had a really big project come up at work. Really big project. And it was full steam ahead. Everything was in place that this was going to move forward. And all of a sudden, he stopped returning emails. He stopped returning phone calls. And I was starting to fear the worst. Because you and I have been in business a long time ago, and you know how to read the tea leaves on these things.
Oh, yeah.
And I finally, yesterday, sent him an email and a voicemail, just practically the exact same time, that was very direct, just laid it out in front of him that said, hey, what's up? Like, I was probably over my own ledge of, I wasn't disrespectful. I was actually being kind of funny. But he easily could have taken what I wrote as disrespect. And that came from a point of frustration from me. The good news was he responded back, took it as humor, and now we're back on.
Oh, good.
So what I'm saying is I took a chance knowing that, hey, these words could be disrespectful to this person. But in a way, I almost wanted to trigger, I'd much rather trigger a response of abrasion than never hear from this person again. At least tell me that you're alive.
Well, sometimes you have to flirt with where that line is in order to get a response out of people. And I think that that's okay. And I think even in that situation, if he had taken it that way, you could have easily apologized and continued to move forward.
So we went to social media this week with this. On the question was, why can we sometimes feel disrespected? Or what have been some situations where you felt disrespected? And beyond the Rodney Dangerfield memes and Aretha Franklin memes, some common themes here is, it was interesting, Matthew said, because we don't respect ourselves. And I think this goes in line with what I'm saying. If we don't respect ourselves, it's very easily to feel disrespected. Laura said it's because some people demand it. And that this is probably something we need to talk about on the show, is people that demand respect.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to get into after the break. Absolutely.
I think it's a huge issue. And for me, one of the bigger ones, Nicole said, it's when expectations don't match reality. And we've just really said this. It's like you expect certain things to happen. You expect certain people to be a certain way, and they're not. Therefore, I'm disrespected. And then Beverly said it's when we're ignored. The texting. Maybe people don't respond to Beverly's text. I'm not real sure. But to me, that's a big family and friend issue.
Definitely.
It's probably one of the bigger things of disrespect we have. But man, how many times have you ignored someone because you're busy? It's just not important.
Sometimes takes me a day to respond to your text,
and we can't ignore our breaks because they're going to happen no matter what.
Unfortunately, not.
Don't go away, folks. You're listening to The Great People Show.
The Great People Show. We'll be right back. Call into the show at 804-454-1366.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump is on his way to Texas this morning. He'll be meeting with those impacted by this month's shootings at the high school in Santa Fe. 10 people were killed in the attack. As the U.S. prepares to impose new tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Europe, negotiators in Paris still hoping for a last-minute deal that would head off the tariffs. Laying the groundwork for a U.S.-North Korea summit, Secretary of State Pompeo meeting today in New York with one of Kim Jong-un's top lieutenants. President Trump saying the situation is in good hands. On Wall Street this morning, stocks opening in the red. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 97 points at the opening bell just moments ago. The Nasdaq is off 4 points, and the S&P currently trading 8 points in the red. More details at srnnews.com.
It either is or it isn't. When it comes down to it, that's all that really matters when choosing a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. It's either certified by Mercedes-Benz factory-trained technicians or it isn't. It's either backed by an unlimited mileage warranty for up to 5 years or it isn't. It's absolute confidence in 30,000 precision parts or it isn't. The Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned Sales Event, now through May 31st, only at your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. Come in today and take advantage of 2 years of complimentary prepaid maintenance and special financing offers available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. There are those who settle for nothing less. For them, the choice is simple. It's either up to Mercedes-Benz standards or it isn't. It's flawlessly maintained or it isn't. It's either Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned or it isn't.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties.
Your Chesterfield County Colonial Heights Crime Solvers program is needed to help solve a 2013 homicide. Just before 1 a.m. on Saturday, May 11th that year, Chesterfield officers responded to Pembroke Street for a report of shots fired. When they arrived, they saw a young man lying in the middle of the street as a female was performing CPR. The young man, later identified as 19-year-old Matthew McDaniel, had sustained a single gunshot wound and died at the scene. Detectives will continue to do what they can to solve Matthew's homicide. They're asking for Crime Solvers' help. To learn more, visit crimesolvers.net or facebook.com/crimesolverscch. And if you have information on this homicide or about any unsolved crime in or person wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, you can submit a tip through Crime Solvers. Call the hotline 748-0660 or use the P3 Tips app. You will remain anonymous, and if your tip helps, you could receive a cash reward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take the time to solve the crime.
Now back to the Great People Show live. Call into the studio at 804-454-1366. That's 804-454-1366.
So we're talking about respect today. Probably actually talking more about disrespect than we are talking about respect, in debating disrespect. And on occasion, we're going to have a friend join the show, and we're going to have a use it or lose it experience here on the show, because this is a topic that I thought would probably garner a lot of debate. So we have back with us a friend of the show, Fraser Hughes, in the Fraser Hughes Experience. What's up,
Hey, JJ, how are you? Make sure everybody goes on Google right now and looks up Fraser Hughes with a Z, hashtag Hughes or lose.
Wow, that was actually very disrespectful to our radio program,
shameless
Fraser. What are you doing?
I hate you guys.
You're one of the most disrespectful guys I know at the moment.
So if I were at your house right now, I'd fill up your pet bowls with antifreeze.
All right. So, Fraser, my point earlier today in the show was that if you feel disrespected, that's actually on you. That is an emotion that you own, and that the ultimate level of confidence is not actually ever feeling disrespect. Is that possible? Do you believe that?
That's a really good. That is a really good point. And you know what? I'm going to have to say Hughes it to that, JJ. Can I tell you a little story?
Yeah, tell us.
Can I tell you a little story? All right. So, I was on the radio here in Roanoke.
Okay.
And I had a boss that would just speak down to me. I don't know if he was jealous of me. I mean, he was a mean, terrible communicator. And I remember I was seeing a therapist at the time, and I went to the therapist, And he said, well, how do the other employees react to this guy? And I said, well, there's another employee that doesn't even bother him, and he gets talked to the same exact way. And so my therapist said, well, an emotion is being triggered here.
Yes.
So it's on you, Fraser. You see, the other employee wasn't upset at all. He could be talked to like that and continue his job, and it didn't even bother him. But, if you grew up, you were talked to like that, or it's going to trigger emotions. Like say you had a mean parent. If you have a mean boss or a mean spouse, that stuff's going to come up.
So I think
it is on you. It is on you.
And that's a dangerous thing that you just explained, because what if that employee actually was bothered deep down, and they let that boss make them feel belittled, or they make that boss made them feel insecure and insignificant. So while you may not have seen an outward emotion, maybe there was a very destructive inward emotion there. I think, but you and I are still saying the same thing. That, on the other hand, what if that employee is just walking away during every conversation and just said to himself, "What an idiot! That guy's a jerk. I'm going to go off and sell a car."
Also, too, it doesn't give the other person a hall pass to act like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I know I might be speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but when the other person acts like that towards you, if you get upset, there's a small part of you that thinks that what that person is telling you is true. But then again, there are just some managers that they do belittle their employees. It's kind of like sexual harassment.
It is. Actually, it is. Absolutely, man.
Say a verbal abuse, and it's not, it's kind of a touchy situation.
Yeah.
But it is on you if you feel bad about yourself, because if you walk away from it and you don't feel bad, you're just kind of like, man, that guy's just angry. He's got an anger problem, because the truth inside is that, hey, I do a good job, but still it doesn't give them a right to cuss you or things of that nature.
And why do we want to own those emotions? Because no one else is going to own them, right? I mean, in many cases, when we are disrespected or we feel disrespected by somebody, we hold on to that for minutes, hours, days, maybe a lifetime. But the person that disrespected you, it was a fleeting moment for them, and they're already on to somebody else and on to something else. They don't. If they truly disrespected you, they don't even care about you. And we let them live in ourselves like that. That's a horrible state to live in, isn't it?
Yeah, you let them rent the space in your head.
Yeah. And to make it worse, they're actually living in your head rent free.
Yep.
There's not even any rent being paid.
Correct. So while it's up to you to redirect yourself, because it's kind of the same, my thought process is, when I was running marathons, I knew I was never going to win the marathon. I was never going to beat the fastest runner.
Yeah. And
I did it for myself. So at work, I know there's not enough appreciation I'm going to get. I'm going to have to give that to myself. I have to give it to myself.
Have you?
You know what I'm saying?
Have you seen Grandpa Huey in a while? Has he been around?
Yeah, he's over here on the lot today. I'm selling cars right now. And he's washing cars.
Grandpa Huey's been been around. I mean, he's old. Isn't he he's like 104 now or something? How old is he?
He's 83.
83?
83, 84. Yeah.
So I wonder if he still feels disrespected. Like, if he's at the age where anything can disrespect this guy, does he have pretty strong opinions? Do you think we can get him on the air?
Yeah, let me see. Can you give me just a second?
Sure.
Hey, Grandpa. Yeah. Can you come on real quick? Yeah, hold on. He's coming.
Okay.
He's he washes cars for us on the side here.
How long does it take him to do one car?
He's fast, man. I mean, he's faster than you or me. I mean, how some older people are just built.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandpa, you want to go on the show?
Okay.
Hey, Grandpa, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on? It's BJ.
Grandpa, turn up your hearing aid if you can hear me. Are you okay?
What's up, BJ?
It's JJ. You're on the Great People Show. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's a lot of great people left these days in America.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
I think there are.
Okay,
I think there are.
I agree with you, Fraser. So, Grandpa Huey, you're at you're close to like 95 or 100 now. Do you still feel disrespected at your age, or or do you not care? There's like literally no one that could possibly disrespect you.
Well, I tell you what, JJ, things have really changed. People being so politically correct these days, you can't even be yourself anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't even speak your mind. Everybody gets offended.
Yeah.
But back in the day, communication was direct. You told people how you felt.
Yeah.
And
do you still do that? Do you still do that?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
And do you disrespect people? Do you find yourself disrespecting people a lot when you do that?
Well, some people take it personally, but they know I've got a good heart.
Yeah.
And it's some people just don't know what's going on with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you, boy.
Well, I appreciate that. He just called me boy. So, Grandpa Huey, what advice do you have for audience if we're lucky enough to live to your age? How do we handle being disrespected better?
Well, I think it's disrespectful to send a text to somebody when you got something serious to talk about.
Okay.
Because back in my day, we talked. Heck, we even wrote letters when we were in love.
Shoot, that ain't, by the time you got the letters going back and forth, weeks later, the anger went away, didn't it?
Well, pretty much, And sometimes people would fight about it, but ain't no need to fight.
Yeah.
I'm into making love, not fighting.
yeah. Let's move on. So, is Fraser still there? Is he still near you?
Hey, wait, hold on. He went over. Hey, boy.
Yeah.
Hey, Fraser.
BJ, watch you.
Hello.
Thanks, Grandpa Huey. I just need to get him off the phone. I could tell he was going on a rant. So, Fraser, parting words for our audience. What do you want our audience to know and feel? Because you said Hughes that you own the disrespect.
Yeah, I think you need to look deep down inside of yourself and ask yourself, hey, why am I feeling upset right now? What is the true cause?
Yeah.
And then you need to pray long and hard for that other person so you don't have the resentment eat you up.
Mm-hmm.
If not, you're going to be walking around and you're just going to be totally self-destructive when it comes to work and to romance.
Amen. Well, Fraser, thanks for joining us. How can our audience get more of the Fraser Hughes experience?
I mean, just go to Google and type in Fraser Hughes, Frazier, Instagram Hughes or Lose.
And we won't be tagged by the NSA?
No, but I do want the iPhone 10X if you have one for free.
I think it's the iPhone 10, but thanks for playing. Fraser, we love you on the show, brother. Thanks for coming out.
You too. See you, BJ.
See you later. Dork muffin. So I'm right here, James. I mean, I'm getting a lot of positive reinforcement on my point of view.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I am the guy that brings the guests on often, so that may have had something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, he basically just repeated what you said, but I thought that was good.
So we're going to take another quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about maybe some ways that we feel disrespected, and how we can handle this differently. And we cannot ignore the fact that we need to talk about you are probably disrespecting people more often than you even believe. So don't go away, folks. You're listening to The Great People Show.
The Great People Show will be right back. Call into the show at 804-454-1366. Before the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People was the Dale Carnegie course. Now, after 104 years, over 8 million people experience Dale Carnegie courses. People like Warren Buffett and Ronald Reagan. The Dale Carnegie experience uses proven techniques to permanently unlock the potential of top talent, making individuals into inspiring leaders and groups into high-performing teams, while reducing the financial and emotional costs of employee turnover. For more information, visit DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. That's DaleCarnegieRichmond.com.
You can do all this yourself, or you can call NR Hayes Lawn Care at 804-357-3669. Commercial and residential grounds maintenance, mowing and trimming, flower, tree, and shrub planting, snow removal, bush hogging, and more. Because your time is valuable, call NR Hayes Lawn Care at 804-357-3669.
So the movers moved you across the country and got everything here in one piece. Well, not exactly. There was some damage, but it wasn't a big deal, and the claims process was easy. It can easily be repaired by the right company. Just Google Furniture Repair Richmond and get a hold of the owner, Jason, at Weathersby Guild. No need to bring your repairs to them. They come to you and do all repairs on site. They're National Restoration Certified and Furniture Hotline Certified. All calls go to Jason's cell, and he answers them personally. Hey, you can even text him. Now, you spent a lot of time and money purchasing your furniture. That's why you moved it. Why would you trust anybody else than the Weathersby Guild, who are experts at handling moving claims and repairing furniture? Again, simply Google Furniture Repair Richmond or take a look at their work and other services at weathersbyguildrichmond.com or call or text Jason at 804-920-0086.
Now back to the Great People Show live. Call into the studio at 804-454-1366. That's 804-454-1366.
You know what? I noticed how easy it is to be disrespected. I was actually thinking of some things that over the course of my life that have easily disrespected me. I feel very disrespected when people interrupt me when I'm talking. Like, that really gets to me. Like, I'm just like, dude, let me finish my thought here, okay? Not listening. I'm pretty good at actually getting people to get their attention because it annoys me so much. I do something a little off the wall to get them to listen to me. Not from a business perspective, not returning phone calls and maybe texts get to me a little bit, emails. But personally, it's like I have a friend, if they never return my text, it's like I don't care. It's weird how I can care for certain things but not care for others or feel disrespected.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a difference between feeling disrespected and feeling that other people are disrespectful. And I think that that's probably a big part of I think a little bit what we're talking about here in different directions. I mean, there are plenty of people who are disrespectful who I don't have any respect for them, so I really don't care. Yeah. When they're being, disrespectful to me. I care when my brother is being disrespectful to me. He's my brother.
Because you care about him.
But we have to be actually worthy of respect. I mean, we have to in our professional lives. You have to not miss deadlines. You've got to show up on time. You've got to follow through on what you say you're going to do. You have to make sure that your work is high quality. You have to present yourself in a way that's professional and polished. Your social media accounts need to portray that same thing. You have to be worthy of getting respect from others
rather than demanding it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't demand it. I mean, respect has to be earned. When respect is demanded, people around you, if they seem like they respect you, they're faking it.
Isn't that probably where a lot of the feelings of disrespect come? Is because you're demanding it? Like, if you are feeling disrespected, it's because in your head you're demanding it and you're not getting it. Yeah. Isn't that kind of tied in there with each other?
It can be. I mean, again, not to belabor it, but I mean, going back to my brother, I mean, I don't demand respect from him.
Or do you?
We're family.
So is it inherent in family that you demand respect from other family members?
Well, it's when you have respect for somebody else and then they show disrespect to you, that is where the emotions have a tendency to get involved. Yeah. I mean, it just is.
Compared to, and I've had these relationships, you're so disrespectful to each other, it just kind of works.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like funny how disrespectful you are because you don't want to respect that person because they're disrespectful. So you disrespect them, and because they're so disrespectful, they kind of like it. It's weird. And then it turns into like this comedy show in a way.
Correct. But generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, when we genuinely respect somebody else, we give them respect. We don't disrespect them, and that tends to be a two-way street with that person.
I agree.
I mean, most of the time.
Yeah, I can't imagine many relationships lasting. I've not experienced it where someone is disrespectful and the other person is respectful.
Yeah, but it is possible, and I think this is one of the biggest takeaways from the show today. It is possible to lose the respect of those around you. And it's when in your professional life, it's when you don't do a lot of those things. You know, it can be, oh, well, you know, John's a great guy, but he never returns my phone calls or emails.
Yeah,
So
there's an asterisk.
I don't have a lot of respect for him. Or, you know, John's a great guy, but, you know, every day when he goes home, he gets drunk, and I can't respect those life choices.
Yeah.
Or his work is shoddy, or it's never on time. I mean, basically, it comes down to setting the example. When you're somebody who sets the example, the respect would follow. Another thing that I heard recently that I'd never really thought about is we all use, not all of us, a lot of people use qualifiers before they talk. We all do it, and we do it to protect our ego.
What do you mean?
From the potential reaction. Okay, I'll give you a great example. This may be a stupid suggestion, but I think that we should do a show this week about respect.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really not that smart about this stuff, but I think blank.
Yeah.
This probably isn't a good idea, but
you're probably going to shoot this down.
Exactly. Yeah. And when we do that, we are communicating, at least on a subconscious level, to the person that we are speaking with, that we don't necessarily have respect for the opinion that we are about to give. We don't have self-respect.
Think about how disrespectful that is to tell somebody you're probably not going to like this.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you know what I like? Like, that in itself, I think, comes from a lack of confidence, but it portrays disrespect.
It does. And we're so used to hearing that in our society, it tends to kind of communicate to us on a more subconscious level. But it can affect your relationships. It can affect the amount of respect that other people have for you. And it is definitely affecting the way that you're putting yourself out there.
So, so
when you have an opinion, say it. You don't have to qualify it. Lay it out there.
Yeah. I would love to do a whole show on qualifiers. All the little word whiskers that we put out that destroy conversations and confidence and things like that. It's verbal garbage. There's so much of this. I will now lead into, I don't want to qualify it. I will lead out into what you were saying, talking about this quadrant that I just really discovered. I'm calling it the respect quadrant. Because, you know, so many things in business are defined by quadrants.
Yeah.
There's windows and quadrants and four squares, you name it. So imagine on one axis you have this intentional, unintentional.
Okay.
And on another axis you have a personal, impersonal. Okay. So if respect, let's reframe it. If disrespect is intentional and personal, I think we're getting to the heart of the matter. That's someone attacking someone. They want to hurt that person. Or if you're doing the disrespecting, you're actually going after someone specifically to hurt them. It's intentional and it's personal. I'm hitting you right between the eyes, okay? Then you've got the intentional, but it's impersonal. Now, where I want to start to really bring a caveat here is it's intentionally impersonal, but we take it personal, right? Like if someone just shows up late to a meeting, let's say you're there with 5 other coworkers and this person comes in late, okay?
Right.
They were, and from my opinion, people are intentionally late. I know things can come up.
Yeah.
But if you're not planning for these things that come up, then you're intentional about, I'm sorry, because everyone else was in the room.
Correct.
Everyone else was there. You weren't. That's intentional. Well, whenever that person's late, and to them it's impersonal. They weren't late because they wanted to anger James because they don't like James' agenda.
Yeah.
Right? That's intentional. But, or I'm sorry, that's personal. But in this situation, it's impersonal. It's the disrespect is not directed directly towards us. It's just in a general sense being a disrespectful person. It's just not very personal, but we take it personally.
So let me throw an example out. So at the last break, Tracy was talking about the Stanley Cup games that are going on, and she was talking about the Caps and, you know, go Caps and all that. And your response was, I really don't follow hockey.
Right.
Now, that was not disrespectful at all. Now, if
could have been.
But, well, that's what I was about to say. If your response had been, hockey is stupid and you know, people who enjoy it are wasting their time.
Yeah.
Now you're being disrespectful to her opinion.
Absolutely. So that is
So I mean,
I'm dying over here.
yeah, but you let her know. You let her know in your statement that you really probably don't know anything about what's going on, and you're not a fan of hockey.
Yeah, it was intentional.
But you didn't.
Right?
But you didn't tell her that she was. That hockey is dumb. That something that she enjoys is stupid.
Great example.
And I don't think that you even think that, but.
I do now.
But my point is, that is the difference of a respectful versus disrespectful.
Good point.
Opinion.
That's a great example. The third quadrant is unintentional and personal. And this is where we take offense to things, right? They said, like from same exact situation. From Tracy's perspective, it could have been, I didn't intend to offend her, but she took it personal. Now, the worst thing you could ever do is if you catch yourself in this situation, use this apology. Well, I'm really sorry you took it that way. Now, you know what? That's disrespectful to me. If I let it be disrespectful, because actually I'm so aware of these things now, I'm thinking, you don't even know how to apologize, do you?
Yeah.
You don't even know how to, you're sorry that I took it that way? Whatever, dude. Right?
Yeah. On the rare occasion that my wife and I are having a disagreement, if I say that,
it's over.
Oh, it's over.
Blackout.
It's over.
Doghouse. Have you seen the video on the Doghouse?
No.
That was put out by it was like one of these long format. You just go on Facebook. I'll send it to you. It's actually this wife sends the husband to the doghouse, and he goes down this chute and gets into a bunker with other guys folding laundry, and they have to go to this probation board to get out of the doghouse.
Oh, you gotta send that.
The reasons they were in the doghouse were absolutely hilarious, and this would have fit one of those reasons.
Oh, you gotta
right?
send that over.
Basically, the guy went to the doghouse because he bought his wife a vacuum cleaner for their anniversary.
Oh,
so
yeah, that would do it too.
That'd
be disrespectful.
Tracy just got a nice vacuum cleaner, so I don't know. Her husband didn't get to the doghouse for that one. Not for the birthday.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's where you really screw up.
Yeah.
So the fourth quadrant here is unintentional and impersonal. In my opinion, you just really get to sit back and feel sorry for someone.
Yeah.
Because this person is so just generally disrespectful to everything around them. You go, wow, I'm glad I don't have to go home to that every night. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that kind of personality. I think it's just that's just a negative person that has no idea the world that they're living in. So, so as we start to bring this plane in for landing, here are the things that you need to really think about for yourself if you find yourself being disrespected, even just a little bit, but certainly if you find yourself being disrespected a lot, is to be more sensitive and have sympathy and empathy for other people. As you mentioned earlier, if we are actually showing more respect, we will get more respect in return.
Yes.
I mean, it's just the way the world. You're not always going to get it, but I think you're certainly, if you're a more respectful person, you're going to find yourself being disrespected less.
It's like most things in life. The more you give, the more you'll receive.
Don't have a need to feel superior. I think that's where a lot of disrespect comes from. It's you're up here, they're down there, and you think they should be respecting you upwards. In a marriage, both people should feel like they married up, okay? And if you're not in those kind of relationships, you should really evaluate those relationships. Don't retaliate for being disrespected, right? If you feel something negative, don't lash back out to this person with more disrespect. It makes you no better than them. I mean, you're just on the same playing field at that. They've, in many cases, have wanted to bring you down, and you got suckered into it. As Fraser and Grandpa Huey said earlier, don't let that person live rent-free in your house. And if you continue too much to be focused on self-fulfillment, you're going to live in a state of disrespect because you're expecting the other people around you to fill you up, and that is not a life that you are designed to live. You are designed to be filled up by two things, you and God. That's it. Anybody else around you, your job is to help fill them up, but you can't expect to be filled up by them. Those are unmet expectations that are going to happen all the time in your life because we're fallible people. So, James, any parting comments on this subject? Since
no, I mean
I was right the whole time.
No, I'm with you. And another way, by the way, with that last point that we kind of help get respect from other people. You're talking about self-fulfillment. When somebody gives you a compliment, don't brush it off and say, "Oh, that's no big deal. Oh, that really wasn't that big a thing." When somebody congratulates on something or gives you a compliment, take it. Say thank you.
It's a great point.
And that helps garner respect for yourself a lot more.
And we want to thank our listeners for joining us every single week from 9 to 10 on Thursday mornings. Whether you're listening to us on the podcast, please share the show. There's two things you could do that would really make us feel respected is share the show and go on to Apple Podcasts and give us a nice review and 5 stars. And we just want to thank you all for letting us be a part of your journey to greatness.
That is the truth. It is an honor for us every single week to be here.
See you, folks.